Hello everybody, welcome to day 22. So we've got Paul and Heather and myself today. What I'm going to start with for my pieces are going to be some rolling, pulling blood in the tissue, getting some general movement going before transitioning into stretches with Heather and Paul. The thing to keep in mind, so the hypervolt, the rolling and stretching mobility, all separate pieces, all high value, but none replaces the other two or other one. So we're not subbing out stretches for rolling or hypervolt for rolling. All three are part of sort of a cohesive system of self-care. We're gonna start basically rolling, and we're gonna start from the feet and work our way up. We're gonna work this for 6 minutes to 10 minutes, whatever kind of you have for time and can afford to get started with. So first one, lacrosse ball under the foot and just cruising through the arch, across the metatarsals to the outside of the foot, up to the forefoot, and just changing and moving through the range and sort of feeling the position as you go, and just working that full base of the foot. Left foot, right foot, and then down to the floor. With the calves, my preference is the PVC or a hard roller. So I'll take one foot, put it over top of the other, and I'm gonna roll 1 inch at a time from the inside all the way across to the outside. And I'm gonna take my time cruising up from sort of the top of a low sock or shoe right up to the back of the knee before switching sides. With this, you can spend a ton of time here depending on how they're feeling. Sometimes I spend upwards of 5 minutes on either side, but you can also just kind of cruise through and get it done in sort of as quick as 60 seconds a side. One side, then the other, and then moving up the leg. As we move up the leg, we're going to switch to foam roller, or some other version. Unfortunately, I squished the other roller I had that I preferred for the upper leg, so we're foam roller today. With the upper leg, I think of it like 4 sides. So inside, outside, front, and back, and just start on any of those sides, 10 on each side, and then trying to also make sure you hit those sort of corners as well between sort of side and front, working your way across, one leg at a time. And then as you get to the adductor, switching to laying face down, hip at 90 degrees, knee at 90 degrees, cruising from the knee right up into the groin. And that kind of covers off the legs. Okay, with the next piece, if you have something that looks like this, like a basketball works okay. The softer it is, the less effective I found it, but it still works. For hip stuff, one of the great things about this is you've got a broad surface, so it behaves in a way like a roller would, but has the mobility of a lacrosse ball or baseball. So it's got sort of, it digs in not as deeply as the baseball or lacrosse ball would, but with the same ability to move through positions. So with this, I have a tendency to just sort of cruise through any sort of range and then being able to rotate around smooth into sort of hamstrings, IT, and just sort of chase stuff in a different way than you can with a foam roller. And definitely sort of the hip circles in this position I find to be actually really good prep work leading into training, depending on what I'm up to. Same thing as everything else. One side, then switching over to the other side. From there, you can also cruise up into the glutes. So this, like a harder surface for the glutes, is pretty fantastic. You can also switch to a softball or a baseball as well. Just keeping it general and cruising through position from one side, transitioning into the other. Switching out to the roller again, and we'll dig into the sort of top of the pants to top of the t-shirt. So as you roll the length of the spine, moving into flexion, moving into extension of that position, You can cross your arms and add a little rotation in there. Cruising from one side to the other. And because of what we're up to today with this, I would just move around. So you can work all the way over onto the side. My arms have been sore enough this week that I've actually found it valuable even just getting the tricep into the roller even at this point for the arms, because they've been too sensitive for much else. And just cruising around both sides on a sort of seek and destroy. Okay, heading into the arms. So with the arms, we can cruise on the forearm through here and just chasing around those positions, finding what you can. From the forearms up to triceps, just relaxing that arm, hitting the ranges. Similar to what we talked about with the legs, is that being able to hit the tricep, but also turn it enough so you kind of get the corners as well, and then rotating on the outside of the arm before spinning it around and getting into the front of the arm bicep. All right, for pec, we're gonna put our hand behind our back, lean into the wall, and just cruise through with the baseball, chasing around the pec into the front of the shoulder. From there, we can tip over the top and dig into the trap. So rotating, finding, and the more rotation you put in this, it really changes what you can access. And even moving further down, you can get more over the back than you might guess. So arm behind the back, put a little tension on the area, and then cruising through pec, front of shoulder, up in the trap, and then over the top with the softball.
For a hip flexor opening piece, we'll start in a lunge position with your foot back. You're gonna open up one side with your hand, reach up as high as you can, and then you're gonna lift up your heel and then step down as you reach with that hand. You wanna really step into that fascial pull and allow for that tissue to make a little bit of a change. Then you can switch to the other side. Next, we're gonna work on our adductors. So we're gonna go nice and wide. We're gonna reach down to the floor. As you reach down the floor, it's really important to keep your back as flat as you can. We don't wanna be curving. So if you need to bend your knees a bit, that's okay. Hinge forward, touch the floor with both hands. If you can, straighten your knees a little bit while keeping your back nice and flat. Then reach one hand up to the ceiling, opening up all the fascia through your thorax. Feel like a nice stretch through your inner groin. Don't over push this through that stretch because you could easily hurt your groin. Nice and slow and easy. On the way back up, keeping it nice and flat, hinge back up to the start. Now we'll open up our thoracic spine, starting with one hand behind your head. Move your elbow up to the ceiling. Look up as you rotate, feeling a nice stretch on the front, and then back down. You can change that by putting your hand behind your back and then lifting your elbow up, again looking up to the ceiling, feeling a nice rotation through your spine. Okay, so now we'll do active release on your lower body. Poking on your tibialis anterior, this muscle right here. Bring your toe up towards your knee. Press into some of the sensitive areas of the shin muscle, and then point your toe down and away. Move up and down the length of your shin bone while moving your toe up and down. Moving on to the soleus muscle on the inside of your tibia. Again, finding those sensitive areas. Start with your toe down. Move it up towards your knee. Next, we're going to do the gastrocnemius, your big calf muscles, starting with your toes down. Give it a nice squeeze, and then move your toe up towards your knee. Next, we're going to work on your hamstrings, so squeezing nice and tight on either side. And then lift your legs, straightening it while feeling some tension through that big muscle.
So the first piece we're going to do is try and open up the back of the neck. So the first thing you're going to do is think about tucking your chin in so that you've got some length in the back of your neck. And then take your hands and clasp them behind your head so that you've got some support. Make sure your chin stays tucked in, and then bring your chin down towards your chest, so opening up the very top sections of your neck. And then let your elbows fall forward and just continue to roll forward, trying to go segment by segment, making sure that the chin stays in. And you should feel a stretch all through the top of your spine and moving into your thoracic spine and your shoulder blades the further you go. So keeping the chin tucked, but really letting everything else round and fall forward. And if you want, you can apply a little bit of pressure by just pulling your hands towards your head. And breathe and just spend time there. The second one we're going to do is to help open up some of the glutes and the IT band and the lateral line of the body. So a nice long fascial stretch. So what you're going to do is take a band or a strap or a towel, doesn't really matter, as long as you have enough length that you can hold on to it once it's under your foot. Lay on your back. Keep the leg that's on the ground as neutral as you can. Try not to let it flop out to the side. Keep your rib cage on the ground, and then just let your leg come across your body, and try and think about keeping your toes up towards your nose and pushing your heel away from you. And then you can just hang out here. And you'll feel this in a variety of places depending on where your restrictions are. You may feel it through the hip, you may feel it through the side of the calf. And then if you want to, when you're done that, you can open up and go into an adductor stretch. Same thing though, keep the hips and the opposite leg really neutral, and then just let this leg relax open. And same thing, keep the toes up towards your nose and push your heel away from you. And when you come out of that, just be gentle. You might want to assist your own leg out. Just don't pull too hard with your adductors on the way out.
You roll your chest next?
Or.